your super mayor, Tiffany Henyard. I heard a law firm is exiting because of default to payment. Let's get to it.
Tonight for embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard. The law firm representing Henyard and the village of Dalton in a slew of lawsuits is asking to withdraw from those cases. The Delgado Law Group says it's not being paid, so it'll stop appearing in federal and state court and defending Dalton and Henyard in 22 different lawsuits. In a letter to Henyard and trustees obtained by Fox 32, the law firm says the village is facing millions of dollars in judgments from earlier cases and could potentially be on the hook for millions more in the current lawsuits, and says the village is quickly approaching the point of becoming uninsurable. Last night, we broke the news that the FBI has dropped a new round of subpoenas in its ongoing grand jury investigation into allegations of corruption. On Friday, serving subpoenas on Thornton Township, where Henyard also serves as township supervisor.
This is very sad. This is very sad because y'all do know that successfully running a city, successfully running a business, successfully running your household, it requires for you to be above board. And sometimes your image also factors into whether or not you can be successful doing that, right? And so, I am very much in favor of innocent until proven guilty. And so until we get, documents that show that she's being prosecuted by the federal government as a result of some of the stuff that she did in Dalton, I believe in due process, and that's across the board, right? I believe in due process. But here's the thing. Leadership requires for you to even give a presentation layer of greatness. It's not just whether or not you're doing something wrong or whether or not you're going to be prosecuted as a result of some of the things that you've done. It's also the optics. One of the reasons why I won't go any further up the ladder or up the chain in the organization that I'm currently a part of now is because I know that my platforms don't warrant positive visibility for what they're trying to do. And me becoming even more visible requires me to then disclose some things, to be a part of the face of the company. When you get to certain levels and you get to the C-suite, it's a little bit different. And so because of that, because I'm mindful of how that affects the organization and my bag personally, I don't want to. Even when I decided to start After Hours and a Millionaire Morning Show, because this Millionaire Morning Show used to be named After Hours, and then I changed it into the Millionaire Morning Show, moved it to the mornings, and then I changed After Hours from Fight Club. Before I started a new platform, I had been planning for months and months and months my retirement from corporate America back in 2019, because I had already seen what my trajectory was going to be. And so I said, you know what? Time to wrap it up. Made enough money, made my investments. Real estate is booming. Everything is going well. And so at the time I was working at Comerica Bank, before I affect my organization, because I had documented my life, I had used my real name online. My whole life is an open book. I decided that I wanted to be strategic in not ruining the reputation of a really, really great organization that had paid me well, did me really well. And I had moved up and done really well at that place. And so when it comes to public servants and leadership on that front, it's 10 times that, because you're not even working for a private organization. You're representing the people. You're representing your constituents. You're representing the ones that put you in office, the ones that voted for you. You're in charge of huge budgets, and we have to take that in consideration before we vote these people in office. But also, one of the reasons why they force a lot of these politicians to resign is because it's not good optics, it's not good management, and you're ruining the financing of, or you're ruining the finances of the organizations that you represent, which in this case is Dalton and Thornton Township. And they're sinking under a mountain of lawsuits. And even a law firm that they got said, listen, she's not really 25 to 0. They ain't even paying us, and they don't have the money to shell out for all of these judgments that they starting to get a part of. So I think the best thing for Dalton is for Tiffany Henyard to resign. I've never actually said that because, it's all been fun and games up to this point. But I think that the best thing for them is to resign, because she's literally ruining the entire city and throwing it under the bus. Anyways, that's Tiffany Henyard, ladies and gentlemen. In addition to that, campus protests continue to carry on, especially over in the Bay Area. Check it out.
Not backing down. Tonight, protests continue to grow at Bay Area universities, even as some students risk suspension. And now some faculty at one campus are taking action. NBC Bay Area's Marianne Favreau is at Stanford with a closer look.
The protest here at White Plaza is growing. There are now 23 tents and more people from outside the university.
Somebody said, I'm curious as to why you say it would ruin their reputation. Because I talk about all kind of stuff. I say the word hoes. I be cursing. Like, my messages is still what my message is, but it's not politically correct for the organizations that I represent and, from a leadership perspective. So, I always say, and see, I can't be the pot calling the kettle black. I always say, for example, I don't believe in bringing your personal business into what you do professionally. So, for example, if you're a person that, like to get buzzed down and your partner is of the same sex, I don't really care. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I don't really care, and that it shouldn't affect the way that you do your job. And more importantly, you shouldn't be bringing that into the office. So anything that you have going on outside that then affects what you got going on inside and causes a distraction from what y'all doing is not good for the organization, because they didn't sign up for your personal life. They signed up for you to be able to do your job. And when you start to go up in leadership, that affects how you're impacting and influencing other people. And so I'm mindful of that. And so because I'm mindful of that, I don't want to affect what's going on in the organization. So I just want to do my job at a lower level and get my bags and get my equity and get my bonuses and get my 401ks and all of that stuff. And so I am just mindful of how I affect other people and affect the organization. It's not about whether it's right or wrong. It's about whether the optics is good for business. And if it's not good for business, then I'm not going to affect the organization. I'm a professional. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take that in consideration. Y'all get so caught up in right and wrong. When you get to a certain level, it's about optics, visibility, how it affects business, how it affects your workers. You have to be way above more than just right and wrong and whether you're good at your job. It's also about how you affect the organization and whether people want to do business with that organization. And so that's why it's important.
Joining students to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Another night of camping out at Stanford's White Plaza, even though the university has handed out letters to protesters, letting them know they could be expelled or possibly even arrested for being here overnight.
Whether or not I get arrested is not as important as the liberation of the Palestinian people.
Protesters say they want Stanford to take action.
They basically saying they don't even care if they get expelled from school. It's not as important as their protests. Isn't that funny? Then why are you sitting there with your face wrapped up and making sure that we can't even see your eyes? I call cap. I call cap. They're sitting there and they're saying, oh, we don't care if we get, because the universities are starting saying, okay, listen, if y'all don't want to abide by the rules, then we're going to expel y'all from campus. And it's a possibility that y'all can be affected academically. And they sitting there and saying, oh, we don't care. We're not tripping about it. Then why is your face wrapped up? Why are you not worried about how that's going to affect you professionally in the next 10 years? That's one of the things that y'all got to take into consideration. When you do stuff today, let's say you go into Walmart and you got the money to pay, because it's a lot of people that be having the money to pay for the stuff that they wind up stealing. But let's say, for example, you go into Walmart, you go into Target, you go into all of these places, and you decide, you know what? I want to take some stuff because I don't feel like spending my money. I could just go and get this toothpaste, or I can just go and get this whatever. I'm going to just take whatever it is that I want. Or I'm going to ring this food up cheaper than what it is, even though if I got the money to pay for it. If you get caught, how does that affect your future? Will you have a record? Is things going to be absolutely messed up for you? It's more than just your current circumstances. Y'all got to start thinking longer term. It's people that mess up their future and can't get a job today, and they're the most talented person that I've ever seen in my life, all because of some stupid, dumb mistake that they made when they was younger.
I would like the university to cut all of its ties to Israel, to cut all of its ties to companies that aid Israel in funding the war crimes they commit against the Palestinian people.
Preliminary results of a recent student election show a majority of undergrad Stanford students support the university issuing a statement on divestment. At Sonoma State, protesters held a rally today and are camped out for a second night as they call for an end to the violence in Gaza. Cal Poly Humboldt is now closed for the remainder of the semester after protesters occupied 2 buildings. And protesting students at Berkeley continue to sleep in tents in front of Sproul Hall. At San Francisco State, students plan to hold a rally tomorrow, and professors have formed a local chapter of Faculty for Justice in Palestine to support them.
We're advising the university under no circumstances to deploy police. We are asking the university not to engage in any kind of academic retaliation, including but not limited to expulsion or suspension or eviction.
USC has already canceled its commencement because of on-campus protests, and many students in the Bay Area are wondering what might be next for them.
It's all bad. And I already knew that this was going to spiral out of control. I said it when we first started getting words of these protests. We knew that it was going to spiral out of control, and now these people is going to make a mistake that they're going to forever regret. These protests is going to go away. These wars are going to go away just like everything else. And then you're going to be stuck holding the bag, feeling stupid at the fact that you didn't do things a little bit differently. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, high-speed rail, construction of a high-speed rail line actually starts in Vegas.
In Las Vegas, construction has begun.
God, that girl is so fine. This lady is fine. Hold on. I like that. No, okay, Tia Marie, I'm sorry, messy mathematician Azriel. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm just saying, it's so much easier to consume certain content when you see a beautiful face. You know, it's kind of like when you have a restaurant and you always make sure that you put the pretty girl up front to greet. It's always going to generate more revenue. Anyways, let's continue.
In Las Vegas, construction has begun.
Quentin, don't you start capping. Don't you start capping, Quentin.
What will be the fastest train line in America? CBS's Elise Preston has more.
The high-speed rail link will connect Vegas with existing train services in the eastern suburbs of Los Angeles. The developer says it will take about 2 hours to go each way. That's at least twice as fast as driving from LA to Vegas. The all-new electric train will zip along at 186 miles per hour. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg.
An estimated 10 million people will one day ride this line yearly, sitting comfortably on a new train, looking out the window at the Angeles National Forest.
This $12 billion high-speed system is expected to create 35,000 jobs.
The goal is to start running trains by...
Where did they be getting these numbers from? I mean, I know projections be optimistic, but you never, ever. Like, they be including the person that's going to deliver the mail to that area, the person the temporary construction worker that's only going to be on the job for 2 weeks. Oh, it's going to create 35,000 jobs. I'm curious where these projections come from. I'm genuinely curious. Is the job temporary, permanent? We always know that every single infrastructure deal that happens with the federal government always overrun by like 5 to 10 times. You know what I'm saying? It's going to cost 5 to 10 times the amount that they originally cited that it was going to quote. Be lying, man. They just be lying.
2028, when the Summer Olympics return to Los Angeles.
In San Francisco's Bay Area, BART used to be the future of public transportation.
These are the amenities that give people a new kind of transit experience.
But plans don't always work out. The last original BART car is now retired. In 1972, it made its debut. Billed as a space-age system.
No swaying or jolting.
Outfitted with gold carpet, upholstered seats, and the promise of a train every 90 seconds.
Free of vibration, quiet, smooth.
But after more than 5 decades plagued with low ridership, rising crime, and aging cars, BART upgraded and rolled out a brand new fleet, helping Californians connect. Elise Preston, CBS News.
It'll be interesting to follow this project. Like I said, most infrastructure projects take forever, and it don't even be good for the environment after they get done because it already be outdated in China and Japan and all of these other countries be innovating and putting up new high-speed rail. I will say that a lot of these other countries, they invest a lot of money in the infrastructure and not so much in the social services.